Hey guys, Sam here. So I'm very excited about the new iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus. So as with every generation, I like to look at the technical details of the device to talk about the network compatibility and things like that. So right off the bat, if you look at the iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus, from the outside, it is identical to the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus of last year. The only difference is going to be, more than likely, this is going to be on the final iPhone as well. This is going to be an S at the end. So if you have both of the iPhones in a case, I have extremely high doubts that anybody will be able to tell the difference just by looking at them from the front, because they are 100% identical, and this is the closest it's ever been. Starting with the 3G, 3GS. I mean, those were pretty. Actually, that those were identical. I don't know. At this moment, I can't recall any differences. But the 4 and the 4S, they had the differences of the bands. The 5 and the 5S had the difference of the Touch ID and not being there. Obviously, the 5 didn't have it, and the 5S had it. So those were like noticeable differences in the iPhones. But the 6S and the 6S Plus versus the 6 and the 6 Plus, there is absolutely no difference physically when you look at the device from the front and the sides, because the bands are in the same place, the body of the front is the same, the back is actually the same. So unless you look at the S at the bottom, which is right here, as you guys can see, that's given. It does. I'm sure it will be printed on it on the final iPhone as well. Excuse me. So that will be the only difference, and except of course, unless you buy the rose gold one, then 100% you are already differentiating yourself from all the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus users. So the other noticeable difference is going to be, of course, this one does not matter. The box is going to be colorful again with a picture of an iPhone, rather than the flat box of the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. Everything else stays the same physically. Let's go into the tech specs, because this is the most important part in my opinion. And it's something to pay attention to, the most important when it comes to looking at the device. We're not talking about the spec sheet, just talking about the technical details of the device. So both of the iPhone 6 and the 6S and the 6S Plus have the same displays as last year, and same display they pretty much have in general. The 4.7 and the 5.5, the 750p versus the 1080p. They use the same processor. Everything is exact same. Oh, the new iSight camera is 12 megapixels now compared to before. It's going to be able to do live photos where it records. When you take a photo, it takes a photo, or like makes a small video of it 1.5 seconds before. Panoramas have been up to 63 megapixels. I believe previously it was about 40 or 40 something. And optical image stabilization is only still available on the iPhone 6s Plus only. So remember that. If you want optical image stabilization, I personally don't know the difference between not having it on the iPhone, because I've never really used the iPhone 6, so I can't comment on that. But I've used my iPhone 6 Plus for the past year, and it's been nothing but amazing when it came to taking photos. So I can only assume that this is going to be even better than that, with the amount of detail it's going to be able to capture with each of the photos. So it's going to make photos that are going to be truly amazing. If you notice also the this right here, I think it's called a aperture, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. It has been dropped to 1.22 micropixels when it was 1.55, I believe, before. That's just recalling it from my own memory. So again, correct me if I'm wrong about the micropixel thing there, about the lens. The new thing is going to be able to do is 4K video at 30 frames, which is, it's good, but not the best. So it's still good. 30 frames is still amazing, I think, in my opinion. 1080p, of course, at 30 and 60 frames. That's also amazing. I think 60 frames is going to be really something that a lot of people are going to like. But you could also do slow motion video with 1080p at 120 frames and 720 at 240. And I think that was possible on the iPhone 6 Plus and the 6 already. The 120 and the 240. Again, we'd have to go into detail into the technical specs of those previous generation iPhones in order to get that breakdown of that. I will do a little quick comparison looking at that. So right now I'm just talking about all the new things that we got here. It's got the 5 megapixel selfie camera. Let's just call it selfie camera. I don't even want to call it FaceTime because most people just use these days their cameras for selfies. So this is a huge improvement because I believe the last one was like 1.2 something megapixels or 2 megapixels, something like that. So this is a big improvement that Apple has made to the front camera, and it's added Retina flash. Basically, the way they have the program, the screen acts as a flash, so it flashes 3 times brighter according to the Apple keynote. Where when you're taking a photo with the front camera, so that's something new, and I think it's going to add a great amount of light to the photos and videos and things like that. Actually, I don't know if it would work for the videos, but definitely for the photos, it's going to make them a lot better. The Touch ID has been upgraded, so it's the second generation now. It's more accurate, works a lot faster, and things like that, according to Apple Keynote. So we'll have to test it out when we get the unit in hand and see where things go. By the way, the pre-orders are starting on the 12th, so only 2 days away. So make sure you get your pre-order in, and pricing and everything. I'll talk about that in a minute. So one of the biggest things this year Apple has done is, Apple's always moving towards minimalistic approach, or has a minimalistic approach. So this year, rather than having 4 different models, where last year they listed the GSM and the CDMA models for Verizon. So last year, the way it broke down was the Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile models were all grouped together. However, Apple still listed the Verizon model separate. So this year they cleaned that up. So this year they have the Verizon. Oh, actually, so this is how it's gonna be this year. This is based on the information available on the website right here. So this model is going to be the 1633 and 1634. This is respectively iPhone 6 and 6 Plus. These are going to be for T-Mobile, AT&T, and other GSM networks. And the A1688, A1687, so the 6 and the 6 Plus respectively, is going to be the one for Verizon and Sprint. So once again, Verizon and Sprint are going to share the same model. So, and that's also going to be like the same with, basically this is going to be the worldwide model as far as I can tell from just looking at this. Because last year the one A1586, the Simpri model, was the one that was being sold as the Sprint model, and also it was sold for Japan SoftBank. So, and that was considered the world model because it has the most number of LTE bands. But it seems like Apple's moving towards this year making this one the GSM one, because there's not too many CDMA networks in the world. So Apple is keeping the CDMA model just at home in the US, and they're making this one available worldwide. I'm more than sure this is going to be the one that's going to be available worldwide, as well as in Canada and other places, because it has the additional band 30. And it has a TDSD CDMA, I believe that's used in China or Japan. So this one is going to more than likely be the world model this year compared to this one, despite this one having CDMA. So, unless of course Apple made a mistake, I can't say. But this is important because Apple has added LTE band 12. This is a new band for T-Mobile 700 megahertz spectrum LTE network that they have launched in some of the, or majority of the cities now. So this is big news because before the iPhone 6S and the 6S Plus, there was not a single iPhone that supported T-Mobile's new band. So this is big because T-Mobile obviously wants to have low spectrum coverage. So now it's gonna allow iPhone users to enjoy that network as well. Apple has also updated the Bluetooth 4.2, so it's even it's low energy already, so it's going to be even more efficient the way it works and things like that. Obviously, we have NFC, but Apple didn't open the NFC up to anything other than Apple Pay right now. Excuse me, but the iOS 9 is bringing a wallet, so I don't know how we'll be able to. Hopefully, I haven't tried it on my iPhone. I haven't tried the beta version on my iPhone, so I don't know if it's gonna let me add loyalty cards and things like that, and how well they're gonna work. But given the restriction of NFC being limited to the Apple Pay, I have a feeling they probably all won't work as well as we would want them to, as they work on some of the other makes and models, like Samsung, HTC, and all that. Let's see what other changes. Obviously, voice over LTE was available last year as well. Wi-Fi calling was as well, but that's limited to the network if it actually supports it. So AT&T is launching it. T-Mobile obviously is the leader in voice over LTE and Wi-Fi calling. So as you can see, it remains the same. Physical battery life remains the same. 24 hours, guys, on 3G and 12 hours on LTE and things like that. Or well, actually depends. Most phones right now still do drop down to 3G. So the iPhone 6s Plus, I expect the same amount of battery life. And from um, previous leaks, they indicated that the iPhone 6s Plus and the 6 have a smaller battery compared to the previous generation. But guys, don't take that as a negative point because one of the key things Apple does is how efficiently it designs its products. So just because it has a smaller battery, that does not mean physically it's going to give you less amount of usage. It just means Apple has optimized their device, their hardware to be more, and their software to be more efficient with the battery size that they're adding to it. So in many ways, it's a good thing that we don't have to always jump up to like 3,000 milliamp hours and like 4,000 just to get what we can with like 1,800 or 1,900 or maybe 2,700. So that just goes to show like how much Apple innovates when it comes to their products. Let's see what else. Nano SIM is still there. Let's see. All right, so this looks about it with that. So the pricing again is going to be, and the storage capacity is 1660 for 128 gig. So they didn't decide to add the 32. There's a psychology behind that, from what I understand. So they decided to stick with the 16 gig rather than the 32 as the smallest model. So let's look at the pricing. The pricing is the exact same. If you want to do carrier contract, so you have options this year with either carrier contract, or you can do where you can do the annual, like where you lease the phone, or you could do like annual upgrade and things like that. So, but Apple hasn't launched their own annual upgrade plans as well. Now, this is only available in the US right now. So the way it works is, like, for example, you could pay Apple rather than paying your carrier. So rather than leasing it from your carrier, you lease it directly from Apple. So you get it for 47.45 per month. So for example, 128 gig, and by the end of the year, you turn it back and you can upgrade to the next model, which is going to be iPhone 7. So rather than leasing it from your carrier, you have the option of getting the cheapest plan that you can possibly get from your carrier and just get the plan and then lease the phone from Apple instead of your carrier. And for some people, it may be a better deal because it includes Apple Care Plus. So you don't have to add that into the cost when you're buying it. Of course, if you're getting a better warranty deal from your carrier, then go with that. But this is something that's different that Apple is doing. So Apple is not its own carrier or not offering any carrier plans of its own. However, it is offering a leasing program, so you could just lease the phone directly from Apple rather than your carrier. So I think that's pretty cool. It's a good approach, obviously, because Apple brings good customer service experience overall, everything, and supports it. Everything is better when it comes to like when you have to deal with just Apple, because sometimes you get a warranty from your carrier and then you don't get the replacement or you have issues and things like that. So in this case, you deal directly with Apple. I think overall it comes out to about 380 US per year if you start with the cheapest one, all the way to about 600, I think, depending on the capacity that you go with. So it comes out around that. And then when you add in the cost of the Apple Care Plus, you kind of break even after 2 years should you not upgrade every year. So at the end of the day, I think this is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool idea. This is the way it works. I think it's pretty cool. Hopefully, it's available in more countries in the coming year. This is a comparison. So this is the comparison of all the iPhones from the 5S and on. The 5S we're not even going to talk about. I mean, it's too old for a conversation right now. Yeah, so it's 1.5. So sorry, I want to just cover this detail. So it's 1.5 in the 6 and the 6 Plus, and they have dropped it down. That means the camera lens has gotten better, bigger, I believe. If that's what it means. Um, let's see other differences. So again, the different 4K, Retina flash. So some people might think the Retina flash, they should just enable it to software for the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus. The thing is, the 6S and the 6S Plus has a completely different display. The way the pixels work. If you guys want to get an in-depth understanding of that, just watch the intro that Apple has for the iPhone 6 um, S and the 6S Plus, 3D Touch as they call it, Force Touch, same thing, just renamed. Um, so watch the video for that. I think that'll give you in-depth view of how the pixels on the 6S and the 6S Plus work compared to the older ones. So I think that will basically sleep all conversations about they should have done this, they should have done that. Okay, so yeah, so the play times for videos, HD audio, and all that is the same. Internet use is the same from last year, and that's about it, guys. So this is the main page right here. You could go. I'll put the link for the comparison, and I'll put the link for the tech specs for the iPhone 6s and the 6s in the description. Welcome to check that out. If you guys have any questions about the iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus, I would be more than happy to assist you guys, answer, and provide you any in-depth detail that I can. The quick analysis just from the information that Apple has provided. And forgot to mention that there's going to be live wallpapers, like real live wallpaper, not like those little globes that just kind of bounce around on your screen very lightly. This is going to be actual live wallpaper, so you'll be able to take live photos, as I told you about earlier, and set it as your lock screen. So that's going to be pretty cool. So this is about it with the iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus. I'm pretty excited to get it. I'm going to have my pre-order in on the 12th. So if you guys are getting it, or if you guys are not getting it, and why you're not getting it, I know I understand that's not for everybody, and sometimes financial situation doesn't allow it. But if you are getting it, do let me know which model you're getting, and where you're getting it from, and things like that. Would love to hear your feedback on the iPhone 6s and the 6s Plus as well. So that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.